demographic is a top 10 community in terms of growth, right? They're coming in and they're paying cash for those homes, which is making it very difficult for affordable homes. But one of the things I wanted to tell you, go back to the previous slide, Justin. Our team was able to, in 2021, serve 91 families, and we shoot to serve about 100 families every year. So it's possible to get it done. It's about the relationships that we have with other agents, the ability to find homes off market, and things that we do to help our buyers to compete successfully. So this year, actually, in 2022, we celebrated serving our 500 customers. So we're pretty proud of that. So it can be done, but it needs to be intentional and well planned. That means making sure your credit score is where it needs to be, using somebody like Tiffany to make sure that you're in the best position with your credit score to get the best interest rate. Why does that matter? What is credit score? How does that impact credit score impact your interest rate based on what Stacy told us? You might want to tell me, remind me. Right? If your credit score is lower, you're going to be paying a higher interest rate, right? Which will impact your monthly house payment. So for example, I did a quick example. So if you were buying a $300,000 home and the interest rates were where they were a couple years ago, and we'll talk a little bit more about what's happening with interest rates, but a couple years ago, they were in that 2 to 4% range. Today, they're more like 6.5% for a good credit score. On a $300,000 home, what that would mean is that your house payment, instead of being, I did 2.66%, the house payment would have been, with everything included, about $1,200 a month. But at 6.25%, it's more like $1,700. So that's a pretty big difference for a lot of us, right? So that, to me, stresses the importance of doing everything that you can do to get your credit score where it needs, so that when you do apply, you're getting the best rate. You don't want to pay more for the same house as our neighbor next door because our credit score was lower, right? We want to get that in order so that we're in the best position possible when we go out to shop for a house. So one thing I said is the seller's market. I said inventory is down. You're competing against a lot of other buyers because there's just not a lot of inventory. Most of the homes that we sell here in West Michigan are in that $200,000 to $400,000 price point. If you're below $200,000 price point, you're competing. So you have to be well prepared. So home prices, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. I did talk about prices a little bit, but I wanted to dispel a couple myths. I've heard more than my fair share of times this year, we're going to have another crash. A crash is coming. Unfortunately, I got to tell you, it's very unlikely that we're going to have a crash. The difference between 2022 and 2008, when that happened before, is that lenders, and I'm not saying mercantile, but other lenders were giving loans to anybody who could breathe, whether you could afford it or not. And they've tightened up the guidelines and regulations so that that's not happening today. So will there be people who will lose their homes? Of course, unfortunately, that will happen. But the market won't crash because of bad loans, right? That's not going to happen again. The other thing I was going to say is prices will likely flatten over the next few years. I've seen more price adjustments over the last couple of years than I've seen price reduction than I've seen in years, right? You see houses go on the market, and after a couple of weeks, you see the prices getting reduced. In 2020 and 2021, that was not happening at all, right? But buyers are getting a little more particular because of the higher interest rates. I'm not willing to pay $1,700 for that house anymore. So that's what we're seeing in the market. However, homeownership is still the best absolute way to build wealth for your children and your children's children, if that is your goal. I have clients who bought their home in 2020 or 2019, who for some reason or other, like one person was moving a family member or parent in with them, so they needed a bigger house. So they bought a house over in Bailey's Grove in 2019, and when they sold it 2 years later, they walked away with $100,000 more. How do you justify staying in an apartment or paying somebody else's mortgage, paying $1,200, $1,500, $1,800 a month when you can have that kind of money set aside for your children? Somebody could have went to college on that, right? So it's time for us to get our financial house in order so that we can work together to help more people become homeowners. That's what we're all about at 1,000 Families of Color. We're trying to help Black families, Hispanic families, brown families become homeowners. When you look at the statistics, back in 1968, I think it was, when the Civil Rights Act was passed, we were at like 44%. I'm talking to Black families. We were at like 44% of us own homes. Today, that number is like 42%. We're going backwards. You would think more of us would own homes now. We're not doing the things that we need to do financially to make that a priority, and that really needs to stop. It's all about investing and educating our youth, like you said, so that they know and they don't make the same mistakes that we made. And it's never too late for us. Never too late for us. I have clients who have bankruptcies, foreclosures. It's possible to still own a home, right? You just have to wait a little while for your credit score to go back up and work on some things, but I've seen it done. So the last couple things I wanted to say before I answer questions, and I'm all off my slide. Can you go to the next one? I think I talked about that one. Yeah, I talked about what's happening in the market. The thing I wanted to point out, though, that when I talked about inventory, I'm looking at new listings for the month of October for this year. They're down 4.2%. So again, that stresses that we don't have the inventory that we've had before, but home prices are up about 14%. So between that, when I gave you that example between 2019 and 2021, we saw like a maybe 15 to 20% increase. Now we're at about a 14% increase. So it's going to continue home prices will continue to rise. So the next thing I wanted to do is talk about, if you're a seller, what are some things that you need to consider right now? So in your packet, there's a list of 47 things that you can do to prepare to sell your home. Today, I'm finding that people are deciding to sell their home because they're getting older, they can't do the stairs anymore, they're relocating to other areas. Those are the main reasons that I'm seeing people decide to sell today. They want a different school district, things like that. But I want to highlight just a couple of things on that list, speaking specifically to people who own their homes right now, who are considering selling. It is absolutely imperative that you remove clutter from the room to make them more visually appealing. So when we come in with our professional photography services, we want kitchen countertops clear, bed. I know those closets that are full to the brim. We want them thinned out, box up things you don't wear anymore, because a lot of us have things that we haven't worn in years. Like, we want it to look almost as if you don't live there, like that clean. That helps you to get the most amount of value for your home. replacing carpet if it doesn't clean up well, putting family photos in storage. And this is a pretty sensitive one for us. Over the last few years, we've had problems with African American families getting appraisals that are lower than we think they should be. But it's just something that I think most agents tell people to do. Put away your family photos. You'd hate to think it discourages people from buying your home, but we don't even want to make it an issue. So we have people put family photos away and things like that. And the last thing to do is staging your home. And you can go to the next slide. So there are some updates and repairs that we typically suggest for sellers. Painting, very easy, very affordable. Flooring, if your flooring is outdated, that brings value, as well as lighting. You've got older fixtures, that's something that we want you to take care of. In terms of repairs, we also suggest if you know of a major issue, especially if it relates to electrical or plumbing or your roof, that you address those things before the inspection. The last thing we want to see is get an offer, the person goes and starts the inspection, and then it fails because you didn't take care of those types of issues. So those are the things that we want. And then we also want to make sure that you, on the next slide, upgrade your landscaping. Curb appeal matters. And I talked about the hardwood floors, power washing that deck, things like that. So those are the things that we ask sellers to consider right now. The last part I want to talk about is what you're here for, is what to expect as a home buyer. So you can go to the next slide. So how home buying works. What we do initially, the first step you want to do, and this is in your packet, is to partner with an agent. Not just any agent, you want a great agent. Jay.
Does it? How much does it cost me to work with you? I heard Tanya's a good agent. I want to work with an agent, but how much is it going to cost me as a buyer to work with you?
My commission paid by the seller, and every agent's commission is paid by the seller, but we have the opportunity to work with you, and our commissions vary. So some of us charge 6%, some of us charge 7%, but that's split between both agents. But on the buyer side, the seller takes care of that. What the buyer would expect, though, is most agents do charge a broker administration fee, and that varies by agent. So great question. So first, find a great agent, and the agents in the room, I need you to chime in on this, because there's this fallacy that we're all created equal, right? The agent is an agent. I found him on Zillow, so I'm going to use them. But what makes a great agent? Jump in, anybody. But how do you know what you're looking for if it's the first?
A great agent is an agent who's going to take the time to listen to your wants and your needs, because everybody's wants and needs are different. You know, you may tell me that you want a 3-bedroom home because you need a 3-bedroom home because you have 2 girls and 1 boy. And if I was a bad agent, would just be sending you 2-bedroom homes, and you'd be like, I just told her, you know, I wanted 3 bedrooms because not so much because you needed it. I mean, you wanted it, but you needed it. So a great agent is going to take the time to listen to your needs, wants, and also, I'm sorry, go ahead. Well, just another thing a good agent is going to do is sit down and talk with you. For me, I can speak for myself and all the other agents that's in here. I'm going to sit down and say, what's your name? I say, hey, Nicole, what are you looking for? You know, you're currently renting and you're in a 2-bedroom. How many kids do you have? I'm going to ask probing questions to get information from you so that I can say to you, okay, so you may say, oh, I have always had a dream to purchase a new home, to build a new home. So what I'm going to do is sit down and I'm going to tell you the beginning and the ends, the benefits and the negatives of buying or building. So by me giving you that information and me asking you those questions, I'm going to be able to find out what's your hot spots. And then what I also do, along with some Tanya's packet, I always ask, what is your dream list? You may say, I've always wanted a fenced-in backyard. I have to have a finished basement because I have 2 rambunctious boys that I like to be in the basement. So you listen. That's what a good agent does, is listen to you. And you're going to tell me everything that you want, everything that you're looking for. And as a good agent, we're going to be able to give you the pros and the cons of being, maybe it's not time for you to do an investment property. Let's buy something first, and then I'm going to educate you on the process of all aspects of home ownership.
So the answer to that question was, a great agent listens and will help you to decipher between, they're going to first understand what you want, and then they're going to, your must-have list, and then they're going to understand what's on your nice-to-have list, and they're going to help you to figure it all out within your budget. Okay, Jay.
I also think take time to go online and look at reviews from that agent, see how they've helped other clients. So you can look up pretty much any agent online. But one of the things that I do with my clients is when we're walking through a home, I'm not a licensed inspector, but I'm walking through the home like I'm their brother or sister, or I'm family, and pointing out different things, because especially for first-time home buyers, they may not know to look up, to look in the corner. Let's see if there's any water damage. Let's look at the pipes in the basement. Okay, what's galvanized versus PVC? What's foundation supposed to look like? Different things that the average person may not know walking into a home. What are things that I need to keep an eye out or look for that is going to cost my client money down the road if they don't fix or if they don't keep updated? So I would say a good agent is one that's available first and foremost, that will sit down with you and talk to you about your wants and needs, but that also looks out for you throughout the whole process in buying a house.
Just to kind of add to that, it's a relationship. So someone that you can trust and talk to, and it's not just the transaction, it's educational. So they walk you through the beginning process, through the process, after the process, and beyond.
Too. I feel like a lot of people don't know you can't check all your boxes in one house. So somebody has to let you know that sometimes it takes time. It's not going to be a quick process to find the house that you're looking for.
We're not looking for the perfect house either,
Right.
because it doesn't exist. And you wouldn't want to pay for it
Right.
today, because it's going to be very expensive. But those things that you must have if it exists within your budget, a great agent will help you to find that, right? And a great agent will be honest with you to tell you what you want does not exist. So if you really want a house, these are the options. And is this okay? Or do we need to wait a little longer, right? So those are some things about a great agent. And let me tell you something. Most people only interview one agent before they start the process. I'm going to tell you to flip the script. Ask your friends. Who do they use? Did you like them? If they hated them, why would you go and use that same person, right? Ask for referrals. I love that, Jay. So you're going to partner with an agent. You're going to get pre-approved for a loan. Call Stacy. And then we're going to help you once you get pre-approved. We prefer that you're pre-approved versus pre-qualified, because there's nothing more hurtful to, I know it's hurtful to our clients, but hurtful to us if you get pre-qualified and we go out shopping and you find a home and then something wasn't exactly the way you told the lender and they can't get you closed.
champagne taste and beer budget.
Yeah,
So you may I'm looking at everything that's costing $500,000, but then they tell me I only can approve for $250. And trust me, a $500,000 house and a $250 looks a lot different. And so then, if we start looking at those $500,000 houses and you only approve for the $250, you ain't gonna find nothing. Everything's gonna be like, oh, I hate this, I don't like this, because you're comparing it to that $500,000. So don't start looking before you know what you're working with. I mean, granted, it's good to, window shop, have faith and believe, see the things that you like and you don't like. But trust me, when you're ready to start to buy, if you start looking for in the wrong budget price, when reality sets in, it's going to discourage you. You're like, well, you know what? I'm just going to wait until I can afford that. That's not a good thing to do either. So always get pre-approved. Call Stacy. She's always available, I'm sure, to get you pre-approved. So that's the first place you need to start, besides talking to Tiffany, getting your credit together. If you know your credit is not together, but get that pre-approval, then you know what you're working with.
All right. So part of that process of finding a home is we've done our buyer consultation. I've sat down. I'm clear about what your wants are, what your needs are, what your timeline is, where you want to be. I'm clear about that. We've got it in writing. All mine's clear. That's what we're looking for. We're going to set up a portal where you can see the homes that are available within your criteria. So you'll get emails from us that show you homes that come on the market every day. And then we're going to go out and start looking. Personally, I set the expectation with my clients that we're probably going to find your home within the first 6 homes. That's my goal. If we have to look at more than 6, I'm probably not doing my job well. But the market is tough. So you do have to have some patience. I have clients last year who wrote a lot of offers. My team actually works with more buyers than I do, but we have buyers who wrote upwards of 12 offers last year and just could not compete, and weren't successful. So we had to go and find off-market opportunities or other opportunities, and we'll talk a little bit more about what it takes to compete. So after we find your home, you're going to work with your agent. They're going to make an offer and help you to negotiate the terms. That includes the price. That includes what you're going to put down. You should have known what you wanted to put down for down payment and earnest deposit. When we're going to close by, you're going to deliver the escrow check. That's the first time money comes out of your pocket as a buyer. And she talked a little bit about an EMD or an earnest deposit. What that typically is, it's typically about 1% of the purchase price. So if you're buying a $300,000 house, you're going to have at least a $3,000 earnest deposit. And that goes against the closing costs that you have to bring in the next 30 days when we actually sign all the documents and sign the home over to you. So we're going to make an offer. We're successful. Yay. The next thing, it goes to a status that's called under contract. That's when we schedule the home inspection. In the previous market, you would have 10 days to do your home inspection. In the current market, typically those get done within 3 to 5 business days. So we have inspectors on standby, ready to do your inspection. That's the second time you come out of your money. You tip out of your pocket with money. You typically pay the inspector for doing your home inspection. They're inspecting the structure of the home, the plumbing, the mechanical, the electrical, all the major systems. They're looking at the roof to make sure that the house is in good shape. And what I tell my clients is that what we're looking for, because it opens up the contract to negotiation, we're looking for safety issues. We're looking for significant financial outlays, something that could cost you a lot of money down the road. Those are the things that we want to negotiate with the seller. If you got a light switch that's loose, then if it's not a safety issue, that's what you put on your honey-do list or your list to do after you close, right? But we're looking for safety issues or significant financial outlay. There's also a lot of pressure in this market for people to waive inspections. which I rarely suggest that people do unless you're going into new construction.
Wave inspections, because this is probably the largest purchase that an average person makes in their lifetime. You don't want to wake up the next morning and have your electrical go out and your house burns down because you failed to do inspection because all the bells and whistles were finished on that existing property. So, so always think about that.
Right. Usually with new construction, they have a 1-year warranty, but like I said, I hardly ever suggest that anybody waive inspection. The next thing, once it's under contract, so you've done your inspection, the lender sends out that appraiser to do an appraisal, right? And they're different from the inspector. The appraiser is just going in, looking at the condition of the home. So when they go back and do their report for the bank, they can compare it to other homes that have sold in the neighborhood to make sure that that loan value that they're giving you makes sense, right? So one of the things I wanted to mention on appraisal, one of the things that our buyers are doing as well in this market is that they're having some reserve to be able to do an appraisal gap. When you look at the homes that have sold here in West Michigan, you'll see that in our statistics, homes are selling at about 104% of the list price, typically. So that means they're selling over list price for the most part. So if you were a client of ours and there's a house we're looking at that's $300,000 and you're like, oh, I want to offer $250,000, I'm gonna tell you, we're not doing it because we're not gonna waste our time or your time. It's not the market for that. So prepare to pay. I mean, we'll look at comps, but typically in this market, you're not getting a discount right now because of the limited inventory. Anything else to say about that?
I did not mention in my presentation that the bank is not going to lend more than the value of the house. So based on that appraisal, we may have to make some adjustments. Sometimes borrowers think that they can borrow in excess of the value of the house for future repairs. And I just want to make it plain that once that appraisal report is returned, that is hopefully it matches or exceeds, then you have the opportunity to start with equity. But if the appraisal should come in lower, you cannot access more than the house is worth.
Mm-hmm. So typically what happens is we go back and we negotiate with the seller. Sometimes it's not always successful, but that's something that we've done in the past. But it's good for a buyer to have some money. We've had people have a $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 appraisal gap because they just wanted the house that bad. But thank God the values keep going up so high that we don't have the issue that they actually have to use it. But when they write their offer, they might write it in, oh, I got an extra $1,000 or $2,000. If that makes me have a better chance of winning it, put it in there and I'll take my chances. That's somebody who has cash reserves, right? So once it's under contract, inspection's done, appraisal's done, we're doing a lot of things behind the scenes for you. Stay in communication with your agent during that time. You're going to be spending a lot of time with that lender. Actually, you're going to get tired of the lender. You're like, they're picking on me. They keep asking me for stuff. But that's what they do. They want paper trail, paper trail, paper trail. Document everything. They're going to look at check stubs, tax returns, all that stuff she said. You're getting a gift. Okay, where'd it come from? Show me their bank statement. Show me that they had that money in their account, not under their mattress. Now, that doesn't work. Yes, it needs to be seasoned, is what they called it. Put it in the bank, let it season for a couple months. Okay? And then the last part is once you get through all that documentation, we can schedule the closing. And what you need to do is have a government issue ID and come to closing. And then you'll take that money out of your account and bring it to closing in certified funds and sign your life away, not in a good way. sign a lot of papers, and then typically this thing says you get your keys. Typically in this market, what we see, if the home is vacant, you'll get your keys at closing. But if someone lives in the house, what's typical in our market is that you give them 30 days to vacate. So that's what typically happens. So that is basically what I wanted to tell you about the process. What did I forget, agents in the room? Check your emails every day. Okay. Okay. What else did I forget? So the best buyers for us know where their credit scores are, and hopefully it's a 640 or higher. She can approve a 580, but you're going to pay a higher interest rate. I would say 640 or higher, 700 or higher if you can, because what we found a couple years ago when it was super competitive is that if your credit was scored and you could only get an FHA approval, and it's not a bad thing to get an FHA approval, but you were competing against other people who had conventional financing. And when, as a listing agent, and I take a lot of listings, when I see somebody with a conventional approval, that means they have good credit score and they have assets. So that makes them a stronger buyer on paper. So that's what you want to do. First, Stacy, then Ms. Cruz.
I want to add, this is true both for lenders and realtors. The mortgage process, it can be time sensitive. So it's important to communicate with your family, your employer, whoever you have obligations to, that, as she said, check your email so you can respond in a timely fashion. Be available to go to listings. Make time every day to stay engaged in the process, because we have to move. We have a lot of parties involved. There's the sellers, the appraisers. So just know that time sensitivity is important, and you want to be aware and able to committed to the process until completion, and don't waste time or squander the time, because it can affect the transaction and the outcome of the transaction.
I'm thinking about, what if you had an unscrupulous agent? Like you have a good body of people there. I think they all look like, and most of them I know are good agents. What if there was an unscrupulous agent? He just promised all this stuff, and then it turned out that now they put the buyer in a bind. What happens then? Excuse me? Yeah, but by
You
this
can
time,
always fire your agent, but that's the risk that you take. So when making a decision on your agent, don't just willy-nilly say, I'm going to work with it. You have the right to interview as many agents as you want to make sure that you're making a good
so if
choice.
you have finalized the deal and found out that what went wrong is on the part of your agent, all you can do is just go harm it?
We have what's called errors and omissions insurance at our brokerage, that if something was not right. We all operate under the same professional standards. If they're not operating professionally, we all have a local real estate board that we're responsible to. So you could file a complaint or something like that. But that's why it's important. You want to make sure that you have.
Question becomes, because I ran into this about a week ago. This particular agent is doing business, and they're licensed in Michigan, but they have chosen not to be part of our local board. In my mind, it's like, okay, where's your integrity? So, always keep that in mind, and find out if they are, fully licensed and they're part of our local board. That kind of shows you their integrity as well.
But ask for referrals and references, Jay.
Well, I'm surprised no one hit on this, and you might have said something about it, Stacy, but don't make big changes when you're in the process that Tanya just talked about. Thank you, Lord. You sent us our house. We got the right house. Tanya said our offer is accepted. She says we're going to close in about 30 days. Oh, girl, let's go shopping for some furniture. Let's go. You get that the new refrigerator and dishwasher. The best time to do all of that is the day that you close, after you close. Yeah. That is the best day to go shopping for the things for your new house, because you got a new house, you want new stuff in it. Please, please, please don't make changes to your credit, open up any store cards, or go make big purchases before you close on that house. And it doesn't happen that often, but it's happened. And it's happened to me. I've had clients, they were approved, but then they made changes and they went and bought stuff and they became unapproved and they lost out on the house that they wanted to. So that's a really big one to keep in mind.
Yes. Also, I'll say with that, Jay, don't quit your job. I've had people do that in the process. Like, what? They're going to verify your employment. You quit your job and you still think we get in this house? No, they're not. It's not going to happen.
When he said big purchases, that even includes a car. I had a client where their car broke down. And I remember my daughter coming in and said, Mom, so-and-so didn't buy a new van. I'm like, yeah, no, they didn't. And they did. And the loan officer told them, you were not approved. Do you know these people showed up to my office like, okay, I'm like, what are they here for? They thought we was about to close. And I'm thinking, yeah, the loan officer had already told them, but they, in their mind, they're like, all we did is bought another car. We needed that. So that makes a difference to it. Not just your furniture or whatever, anything. You just ride it out until after you sign on that dotted line. Okay? Because trust me, as soon as you close on that house, everybody gonna want to give you some credit. Home Depot, car places, Lowe's, everybody's gonna want to give you a new car or whatever that may be. So just tell them, just hold tight.
Very good. What questions do you all have for me? I was thorough.
How does somebody become a realtor?
Thank you. That is something I mentioned. I'm part of 1,000 Families of Color. One of the things that we're trying to do is we're helping people to build wealth by educating this way, doing financial literacy, helping people to become homeowners. But more than that, we want people to get into real estate as a career. We have I love my team. We have people that are independent agents. That means they're not on a team, but we need more representation within real estate. It's a great career. If you like to talk to people, you don't mind talking to people, you like looking at houses, that's what I hear most often. You have to have some hustle about yourself because it's a commission job. There's no paycheck unless you go out and slay something, right? But it's a very lucrative career. I have an agent who made 6 figures. He worked another job and he still makes 6 figures, right? Doing real estate. So it's possible. You can sell real estate. And you know a lot of people too. Oh my gosh, please get your license.
And not only that, Tanya, but there's also related careers, right?
Yeah.
Because we need more representation in appraisals.
Right.
We don't have very many Black appraisers in
Right.
West Michigan. You can become a mortgage loan officer, and we have other people in our organizations, 1,000 Families of Color and Roma, where different professionals of color, insurance, mortgage, real estate agents, appraisers, inspectors, that you can talk to if you're interested in becoming or starting in one of those fields.
Yes.
And we're all open to talk to you too,
Absolutely.
about how to become a real estate agent.
Absolutely. So I have candles up here as gifts for those of you who have come who like candles. I have some candles up here and my 2023 calendar magnets. I think I put them in most of the folders, but if you didn't get one, I have some more up here. But I'd love to talk to you, or we would love to talk to you all, but so feel free to come up and ask any additional questions that you had. We will be in touch with you just to follow up to see what you thought of the workshop. And next time we have something, thank you, Jesse. The next thing we're going to have, Stacy mentioned, is a pre-qualification day. So in January, you want to see where you are. We'll be at Home Repair Services on January 12th from 4 to 7 p.m. We have these 5 great lenders who are going to be there, and they're all going to be ready to say yes and to figure out how to help people to get into homes. So if you know of people who want to become homeowners, have them come to our event. We'll post it on our Legacy website, on the Thousand Families website, our Facebook page, on the Roma Facebook page. We'll send that flyer out to you if you included your email on the sign-in sheet so that you can show up, and we'll figure out how to get the process started for you.